Man. Hey! Can you hear me okay?
I can. I love you so much.
Yay! I love you! Yay! Hey!
Is everybody ready?
We're gonna get this party started. Kayla's in the house too.
We're so professional.
Yeah, we look good right now.
We have an intro. We have wine. Nice.
We're about to talk about some serious things, so we gotta get ready. Okay, my sister is here. I got Crystal from Nalia. What's up?
My wife is here.
Hey. Oh, hey, Sharon. Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
How are you?
Where's my wine, Auntie?
It's right here, boo. You know I got extra for you. Right here. I got a little bit for everybody. We'll get sippy cups. Hey, sis. Hey. How are you? Welcome. All right, guys. So, if you guys don't know, my name is Khaliah, aka Monster Lash, and I'm here with my good friend, Miss Nova. Yes. And we just want to thank you and welcome you to our first episode of 27, where we are going to literally break down the 27 amendments and talk a little bit about what they mean for us and what they mean for America as well.
You're going to break it down. I'm going to be an apt pupil. I'm going to learn. I've printed out materials and I'm going to try to understand the best I possibly can.
Because that's what it's about, you know what I mean? You just have to be ready to learn. And Nova is going to be filtering out questions. Hey, babe, I see you in there too. Nova's going to be filtering out questions. So if you have any, there should be a question box. Nova, you explain that because you're better at the live situation.
Yes. So I don't think the question box is here for some reason, but it doesn't matter. So
it's on mine. So maybe that's why.
Well, let us know if it's on yours. Just let us know in the comments if it's on yours. If it is on yours, what we were thinking is any questions that aren't really pertaining to the First Amendment, maybe pop in the question box. And then anything else that has to do with the First Amendment, throw them in the comment section. Let's wake up the chat and we'll address them in a timely fashion.
Yes. And all of this will be saved. So if you ever forget an amendment, you can always go back and it's going to be a nice little series or library for you all.
Yeah. Okay. If you're in the middle of a discussion and somebody is saying something that you know is wrong, you're like, hang on 1 second. I just need to find this one episode of 27.
Yeah.
You go to it.
Resources. You know what I mean? Resources, aka receipts, as to why you are correct in your reasoning.
Amazing.
Yeah. So are you guys ready to get started? I'm so excited that you love this. I'm happy that you love this.
That's
listen,
not a
this is something that I've really been aspiring to do, guys. So I really hope that you enjoy it because I feel like education is a way that we're really going to be able to change things. And when we can come together and we can unite is when we're going to be able to overcome all of the terrible things that have happened. So, knowing your history is not repeating it. And that's what we want to do.
Yes. Can we talk a little bit about how this came about really quick?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So basically, of course, like every other white person who has Black friends and felt guilty recently, I reached out to a lot of my friends. And, yes, I feel bad I didn't do it sooner, but this is where we are.
It doesn't matter. We
used to work together. We actually never worked together. We kind of
we lived in the same town.
Yeah.
Town. Small
town.
So
small
talk about
town.
the First Amendment. That's already Mm-hmm.
But so when we recently reconnected, I mean, Khaliah is a queen of education. She had just opened my world. She's like, oh, research this. Oh, if you're worried about that, research this. And I'm like, you really know? She's like, yeah, well, I had a moment. I really dove in and I was like, amazing. We need to showcase this because I can't keep you all to myself. And then the other day when we were talking about something with one of the amendments or something, you were kind of blowing my mind as you usually do. And I was like, oh my God, full white privilege moment. I was like, I've never really had to know my rights. I've never been in a place where I'm like, if I don't know what all of my amendments are, like I won't be able to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really kind of put everything into perspective. And then we kind of like chatted from there, and
Right.
this
Yeah,
is birth.
most definitely. And I mean, it is eye-opening just in general, because even though you don't feel like you have to know your rights, you're still treated differently not having to know them. And a lot of us who do need to know them, you know, unfortunately don't need to know them because they weren't written for us, and they're written in a way that is uninteresting because it's from 1776. And, you know, so it's a very old document. But it's super important for everyone to know, especially, you know, today with all of the things that are happening, the movement that's happening, COVID-19, 45. We don't even say the name, we just say 45. You know what I mean? Because it is what it is at this point.
Let's just skip over that number.
Right. It's important to know these amendments. These are going to be the ways that you can kind of fight the power. You know what I mean? So let's just go into the First Amendment itself. So I'm just going to read it a little bit. First of all, let's just start with what it's about. So it's about religion, it's about speech, it's about protest and press. Okay, so that's like a quick, easy way to remember it. Religion, speech, protest, press. Right? So it's wordy, but I'm going to break it down for everybody after, okay? And if any of you have questions, like I said, please put it in the question box, and Nova is going to kind of give commentary as well as we go. So, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. So that's wordy, right?
Does anybody understand that? Like,
right.
Does anybody understand that?
Right.
It
Does anybody
have,
just be like,
degrees.
yeah, I totally get it. You know what I mean? Because we don't even use some of these words in our language anymore. So it can be a little strange. So the first part of it, where we're just talking about the law and respecting an establishment of religion, that's just your freedom of religion. That is, an American standard, it's supposed to be, that you can practice your religion freely in this country, no matter what the religion is, no matter who agrees with it. And that's your right. Do you know what I mean? So if you're a Christian, you can be a Christian. If you're a Muslim, you can be a Muslim, and everybody should get the same entire right. As we know, those aren't the things that happen, but we need to know that that is within the Constitution. So when things arise, you know that you have the right to do that. You see?
Love it.
After that, we have abridging the freedom of speech. Nova, you have a question?
I have a question.
Yes.
I thought that we had stopped at the word religion, but what really confuses me is legit right after it. It says, I can't even read it. Let's just be real. No law respecting establishment of religion, and then it's comma, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Right. So basically, I can't prohibit you from having a religion or exercising it.
Or make laws.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't make laws against you. That's why, you'll see a lot of extremist cults and things that happen, and you're wondering how anything like that could possibly happen. It's because they filed to be a religious organization, which makes them have freedoms to do things outside of the government.
Okay. Is it also saying that you can't do a law, because it says make no law respecting an establishment of religion? So does that mean that does respecting necessarily mean making something nice towards religion too? Is it saying we can't be for or against it, or no?
Yeah, I think it means it's like the separation of church or state. You shouldn't have an opinion about it, supposedly.
We have a couple comments. Jamie said, cool. Grievances, however, they do not want to hear from citizens.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Which is exactly why I was excited to talk about this specific amendment, because we're out here protesting right now, and we have grievances, and we have the right to protest and peacefully protest and not be broken up or bothered or anything in between. We have the right to sit in the middle of the street and
without being
protest.
shot at with rubber
Right.
bullets.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know that's hard for some people to understand, but it's legitimately what the Constitution says. And it was the ideals which the Constitution was written under were solid ideals. However, the actions of the people who wrote the Constitution were not in line with the ideals. So there was a lot of like good thought put into it, but the people who wrote it still did not follow their actions. So
it almost feels like it was like a roadmap to like a fake dream. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
like
would be like an unattainable dream for them.
It's like a real cute Craigslist ad. It's like,
mm-hmm.
No, this
it
is
sounds
too good to be true.
Right. Yeah, it sounds real good. We're definitely going to do that. But also, I'm making so much money, so you know what I mean? I can't really let this commodity go, which we'll get into that too. But
okay.
Let's move on to abridging the freedom of speech. So abridging is a funny word. Basically, it just means shortening or limiting your speech, you know? So you can't limit the press. You're not supposed to limit what the press does. You're not supposed to limit our speech. You're not supposed to limit the right of the people to peacefully assemble, you know? So if I'm being peaceful and my hands are up, you're supposed to let me be. Okay.
That's a nice idea. It's a good concept.
It's just, yeah. So as you can see, a lot of this is definitely very poignant in what's going on today in society. And I think for Black people specifically, we have to be really firm and really comfortable with saying, like, this is my right and you can't do this to me. And when people know who they can do things to, you know what I mean? Like people know who they can manipulate and do all of these terrible things to. And there's been a lot of, you know, deaths recently of people who have known their rights as well. But it's really important that you stand up and you don't feel like you can't do that. And I think that a lot of us have felt like that for a long time. Like, I don't know, let me just answer these questions. I don't want to seem like angry or I don't want to seem whatever, but it's my First Amendment right, just like it's your First Amendment right to say whatever you want, you know, and not to be like labeled as something else as well.
And even when people are following exactly what, even when you are like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am,
right,
whatever you say, like people are still dying. So the fact that this is what our country was built on, and we're just slapping it in the face like every day is insane. And it's insane that everyone is just realizing it today, you know? That's the crazy part.
Well, absolutely. And the fact that, you know, the Constitution was written so long ago, it's like I said, it's not something that people just want to read. They want to read. Like it's, you know, it's, we follow it. Now we've got like a government and all of this other stuff. So you feel like it's something that, you know, it's kind of like in the past, but they use it against you. So it's really important for you to know the playbook, you know? So there's a lot of different resources. What was the one that you said you found today? It's really cute.
Okay, so I looked up the actual amendment. So like I tried to read it. You guys saw me like fail at reading, which is great. And then so I looked up for children, like the US Constitution for children, and I found this great website called Duster. And it kind of like breaks it down a little easier. So it has each section of the First Amendment. So it makes it a little easier to understand because I can't read that. I don't know what a redress is. Do you know what a redress is? Redress of grievances?
Do you have the definition in there?
I don't know. I don't think so. Does anybody in this live know the definition for redress? We would love that. And while we're waiting for that, I feel like
it's addressing. I would think it's addressing probably like the government for your grievances. I would think, but you know, they use all of these words that were, a remedy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Okay. So a remedy to your grievances.
And to petition, so we have the right to petition the government for a remedy of grievances.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we've been petitioning for a few months
and Black
now.
folks have been petitioning for a long time. You know what I mean? The petition of reparations is real. You know what I mean? I feel like it's becoming more apparent. Yeah. Again, it needs to be brought to the light. That's another amendment too.
So that's a different one, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's break down the First Amendment, since that's what we're here for. We kind of talked a little bit about religion. We can always go back to it. Mm-hmm. But freedom of speech, I feel like, is what everyone is like, oh, like, First Amendment
is the First Amendment. That's what speech is most known for. Right. I can say what I want. Right.
Yeah. And then, or of the press. So that's kind of together. And we recently have seen, I mean, we saw somebody from CNN get arrested on camera. Like,
mm-hmm. Right. Freedom
just for reporting
the press, and they have their credentials. Like, you cannot obstruct the press from videotaping you when you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's not lawful either, you know? Like
So now we have the information, we've broken it down, we understand it, right?
Right.
But we're consistently seeing instances of basically banning us from having our First Amendment rights. So like, what are we supposed to do to actually get our rights? Like, where do we go from here? Because every single one of these things in the First Amendment, we have on camera people being denied of by government officials.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I would love to see, you know, the Constitution rewritten. I just want to ultimately see the governing body change, so that ultimately, you know, we can start anew. Because if this stays the same with the same wording, same jargon, we're not going to get any further, because it wasn't written for, first of all, it wasn't written for Black people whatsoever. At the time when it was written, we weren't even considered human beings. So nothing in this Constitution is to make my life better at all. You know what I mean? So the fact that, you know, we insist on using the same document and not, you know, kind of like starting a rolling document. I had a really great conversation with Kaylee, who has just joined us as well. I think she had a question here yesterday, but she had said that originally, you know, Thomas Jefferson's ideal was to have a kind of like a rolling document where this was changed every 7 years, you know? Yeah, and that makes sense, because like, how can you keep a document the same when the people are changing and the world is changing? You know, just technological advances and such have made such a big difference that there's no way that this should even be what we're using anymore. Yeah. Let me read what this says really quick. Americans forget freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences of your speech, i.e. fired for saying racist stuff. Exactly, most definitely. So that's really interesting, because people are emboldened right now. You know what I mean? Like, people feel like they can just say whatever they want at any time, racist, nasty things, you know what I mean? And like, just feel like, it's my freedom of speech. Well, yeah, it's your freedom of speech, but there are also consequences to your action. And the people that generally like hurl those insults are the people that tell us that we need to stay in line. And if you just, you know, obliged and you just did X, Y, and Z, then X, Y, and Z wouldn't happen to you. Well, if you just did X, Y, and Z too, then you wouldn't have lost your job. So yeah. No shade. No shade.
All shade. Lindsay said, right, written to include people of color. So what does that look like? If we're going to say just the things that are included in the First Amendment, like, what are some things that like you would ideally have in the amendment?
Like, added to?
Yes. This is everyone also. This is off the cuff. We are, so it might take us a minute to think of an answer. This is very real.
I mean, I feel like, yes, saying for all men is nice, but I think that race needs to be addressed in the First Amendment. as it is in the 13th and 14th Amendment, so that, you know, it is said in the law, like it specifically said that you can't, you know, basically abridge anyone's rights for their race. Because it already says religion, but it doesn't say race at all in here. And in other parts of the Constitution, it does specifically say religion, race, or previous servitude, meaning if you were a slave prior. So I feel like that's one thing that would definitely make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, just even adding that in there, because, you know, when you don't say that, there are people who run the government who don't look like me, who can then kind of like change the law and bend it at their will to make it work for them, which is what we see happen most times, most often.
And zero ramifications. 19 said reparations for all people of color to begin with. This should have been done a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
How would that even look in 2020?
I mean, I feel like the impact now is so great. I mean, there's a lot of different statistics out. There's a lot of different models that you can look at. But, you know, one that I recently saw that was like super staggering to me was the Black family has $100. Well, the Black family has 5 cents to every white family who has $100, which is like, I mean, that gap is just no way at this point. Do you know what I mean? To me, I need land. I need free education. I need free education for my family, for my children. It's generational wealth at this point. It's not even just, you know, to have my bank account sitting right here. It's like, I don't have anything to give to my kids. I don't have anything to give to my family when I leave. Like, and it's because of systematic racism and flawed amendments, you know?
A couple comments. Tiffany said the gap is disgusting. It's a disgrace. And then 19 said such a huge gap. We are basically born with nothing.
Yeah, and die with nothing.
I have like chills right now, like literally.
Well, I mean, this is just America, and it's like we don't have these conversations, so it's really hard to see these things change. And so I think it's really important that people get comfortable talking about race, because when you're comfortable talking about it, that's when you can change people's minds. That's when you can, you know, maybe even just agree to disagree. But up until now, I don't think that people felt comfortable even having just like a regular conversation. Like, dang, I saw that happen and that was really bad. Did that hurt you, like, as a person? You know, like that. I mean, for me as a Black person, that's nothing I've really ever experienced. Like right now is definitely the most that any white person has ever asked me about, like, how I feel as a Black person. So it's very eye-opening, you know.
I remember our first call, like after, like, cause we talk like probably like once a year or something. We would like check in with each other, or whatever. But like since recently, like after our first call, like we both like, we're just like so drained and like legit got off the phone and like text each other like, I'm crying too. Like it's a lot, but like we, like, everyone needs to be like feeling and emoting and like experiencing what's happening right now, so we can all join. We have to like band together. We are not organized as a group. Like we need to get it together.
Right.
So I think that sharing stories like these and talking about our rights is a way that we can start to unify and like get on the same page. Like, look, let's keep it real basic. Let's everybody know their rights, okay?
Right.
Once we know what the rights actually say,
exactly,
we can figure out what we really want to accomplish. Because I mean, the fact that I had no clue like what the amendments were, like, really blew my mind. And you're like, oh, I have a copy of the amendments right over there on this table, and I'm like,
I carry one in my car too, because God forbid I get pulled over and I don't know the Fourth Amendment, and then they just want to search my car, and then I'm just like, sure, search my car, but why? Like, you know what I mean? You don't have any probable cause. But that, you know, see, this is why you gotta know, because I mean, getting pulled over as a Black person right now is like one of the worst things that could ever happen to you. It's been the worst thing that could ever happen to you for a long time, because you're already by yourself in the car. So Now it's just on tape. So knowing your rights is like, it's not only like something that you should just cherish that you could know them, you know, but it's like something fundamental as protection. Knowledge is power, and they know that it's power, and that's why they tried to keep it from us for a long time.
A good friend of mine, he one of his kids was graduating, and he basically, like, he were talking about like college and everything. He always says, I've always heard him say this, like, to his kids, like, education is the one thing people can't take away from you.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read a comment. Don Diddy said, "What you wonderful women are doing at this moment is the movement that needs to continue to create the change that we need as a society, addressing the differences and closing the gap." Oh, who's that?
I know. Let me see.
I love you.
Yes.
19,
Oh, that is
just
so
talking
sweet.
to Tiffany.
Thank
Doesn't care about
you.
us. 19 talking to Tiffany. Most definitely. And that is the only way we can deal and overcome and get comfortable, especially when white people are the ones who don't even really understand what racism is, which is 100% true. And
the
white
definition.
people,
The
all the white
definition,
people,
please,
like,
please just know that the definition of racism doesn't mean that you're calling me the N-word. Okay, that's not really what that means. You know what I mean? There's so many like little small things that happen throughout the day that Black people deal with. Just like Nova and I had a conversation yesterday about the Crown Act and how, you know, my hair has to be legalized. Why would my hair have to be legalized when this is like what grows out of my head? But I can be fired from my job for having locks in my hair because it can be considered unprofessional and unkept because it's not white, which is insane.
This is a whole nother thing you told me about. I had a lot of questions. You told me about, we're gonna talk about hair for just a minute. About, I said something about, like, what is this? Is I'm owning my ignorance. I said, what is the difference between having your hair locked and having dreads? And then you said,
so, you know, like a lot of locked people don't identify with the word dreads just because, you know, it was kind of created in a sense of negativity toward our hair. And so we identify with locks, like the lock movement. And yeah, so rarely do we identify with that word, but it's built into our culture. Like a lot of words are built into our culture. You know what I mean? Look, that's freedom of speech too, in a way. So
are you comfortable saying like where that term comes from?
Well, from saying that our hair was dreadful, from white people
Yes.
saying our hair, dreadful, and that it just wasn't clean, and you know, there's all of these like negative connotations with brown people and like cleanliness, which is like so asinine, you know, it's just ridiculous, and there's a lot of mistruths there. So
I don't even know if I should address this comment because I'm a little confused. I don't know if it's like out of place or what. I was born in 1963 and survived domestic.
Oh yeah, so that is that's 19's mom.
Oh,
Nova's freezing.
Because I'm like, are we like?
Well, she's talking
really
about. She's just basically talking about the things that she went through in 1963. Her and I do this thing all the time that we call story time, and she just talks to me about like her life as a child, and it's really interesting to me because, you know, she was born 5 years before my sister, but had a completely different life. You know, she experienced the Klan often, and she lived with her grandmother, and it was a very, you know, segregated, of course, racist Jim Crow era, where the Klan would just come through the trees at night, and her grandmother would have shotguns and stuff. So that's what she's referring to with the Jim Crow South.
Like, I have to make sure there are trolls out there, and I need to make sure that.
Oh yeah. You know, yeah, you just gotta make sure that one of them didn't slip in. But no, that was
sorry, 19's mom.
Yeah, that's M. Goldie. That's M. Goldie. Yeah. Yeah. Story time. We'll have to do a live on that one night. I think that you guys would appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes. That would be amazing to have her.
Yeah, most definitely. Can we do a live with more boxes? Or do we have to do a Zoom?
We can do Zoom.
Okay, so we'd have to do a Zoom.
Figure it out.
Okay.
Our wives are falling in love.
Oh,
in
look.
the comments. I'm very into this.
Oh, look at that. So what else do we have here? Was there anything else? Oh, I did want to just mention some things that like are kind of poignant for the First Amendment that are present and that are past. So of course the Black Lives Matter movement right now, of course, is present, and that directly speaks to the First Amendment. And then past, I wanted to just have like a quick thing about civil rights. You know, everybody knows that, you know, you march for civil rights, and you see all of the time just like pictures and video and things online now, especially because there are so many more resources of people marching for civil rights. That's the First Amendment. If you're familiar with the Greensboro Massacre, or if you're familiar with the Greensboro Four, freedom of speech there as well, the freedom to protest there as well. And those things really drove a lot of the civil rights movement, as well as Emmett Till. And Tulsa, after Tulsa, there was some marching as well for the First Amendment. So if you don't know about those things, those are just some things that you can look about.
Tulsa, everyone, if you don't know about Tulsa, I mean, that changed my whole view of everything. Someone said, how is the First Amendment baked into systematic racism today? That's a really good question.
Oh, that's my cousin Troy, so you know he's gonna bring it for me.
Great.
That's
and
Troy.
Also, like, start asking questions, and we'll get to all of them.
Me,
but we kind of like broke it down, so now like throw your questions up, and we'll answer them. So, how is it baked into systematic racism? We can start with what you said before about how it doesn't. It's the very first. Right?
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe you broke up a little bit. Say it again.
Oh, I was saying.
No, you broke up. Yeah, we lost you.
I don't want to break up with you. I was saying.
I'm back.
How is it baked into systematic racism? Well, we could start with what we spoke about previously about how it's the very First Amendment, and we don't speak about race at all. So race isn't even addressed.
Yeah.
And also, it was written by a bunch of white dudes.
Yeah, like cisgender white males who did not think that, you know, we were human. So I definitely think that it's there without even being said, and so then it's able to be twisted because it's not there. So I think it needs to just be in there so that then you have a leg to stand on when you're saying that it's my right. Like, you know, my thing is like a lot of times when you see, all of the time, the reason why businesses and anything that's Black owned has to be Black is because everything else is already inherently white. So that's why it has to be stated that it's Black. So even the First Amendment needs to be stated that it's Black because it's already inherently white.
I saw something today, and it said, we need implies that, I wish I knew this right.
We keep losing you.
Wait, we do?
No, I lost you.
Don't back. Lose me.
Yes, and I'm like, you're making a good point.
No, I was saying we need to invite more Black people to the table is basically racism, because that implies that we have to invite a Black person to the table where they should already have a seat. And maybe getting that a little twisted, like from the exact quote, but that, I mean, I saw that pretty right before we started this live, and it really kind of shook up my world a little bit.
The absence of me being there already is the problem. You know what I mean? The fact that you have to say, oh, you know, we're going to hire more Black people. That's a problem because you weren't already actively doing that. And why weren't you actively doing that? Because it's not to say that we're less intelligent or we're not qualified for the positions. So, and then when you do, we get paid less, which is
or you burn down our city.
Yeah, I mean, the jealousy is real, and that's why it needs to be rewritten completely.
I'm going to go through some questions. Sorry. Jamie said there were student nonviolent coordinating committees at Black schools that were deemed to be terrorists. What?
Mm-hmm. Yo, everything that Black people do becomes terrorism. And there's not even, I mean, and they don't even call like American people terrorists. Do you know what I mean? Like, but they'll call a black group a terrorist group. They'll
Because
call
you're
the
not seen as
Black
American.
Panthers. Black Panthers was a terrorist group. The Black Panthers created WIC. None of these moms out here would be getting milk and cereal or nothing for their babies today if Shaka Khan and Huey P. Newton weren't out there like doing what they were doing. So it's all just lies. Like,
Who do you think benefits more from WIC? White women or black women or women of color in general?
well, since there's more white people, then they have to benefit more. I mean, we all know who benefits from the government. Like statistically, like it's not really us because there ain't as many of us. So that's not really like, it's not even a good statistic. You know, that they love to hit you with that. The All Lives Matter love to hit you with that. And I pay taxes
We're
too.
not even
So
addressing
what does
All
that
Lives
mean?
Matter.
Yeah. Look, let's not get off of the First Amendment. Because if they're right, look, let me not take it away.
Don Diddy said, love and peace unto you all. Thanks, ladies, once again. Good vibes. 1887 said you should start a petition to get race added. Look, yes, that is a great idea, but let's talk about all the petitions and like.
Everybody needs a petition, though. Listen, things are changing with a petition. I've signed a few myself.
I don't feel like
Nova's lagging. Nova, you're lagging on me, bro.
Am I lagging for everyone else? Or just you?
I think so. No, 19 said you're lagging.
Oh,
You'll like start spinning on her.
Oh no. Can you, if you can hear me, I'm saying Jamie had a tie in the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
I had a tie in the First Amendment with a question and I forgot it. Oh, that's a great comment.
Okay.
And then 19 said, we need a seat at the table. They won't give it to us. They're scared. Yes, they're 1,000% scared. Everyone's scared. Heaven forbid somebody else have any power. This
is Kaylee. Unipax.
Such an argument between the founders to even have an amendment list because they were afraid people would only follow those to the letter instead of growing towards principles organically. Well, that's interesting.
Let me read that again. There was such an argument between founders that to have an amendment list. Oh, okay.
Black Wall Street. Yeah, that's what we're talking about with Tulsa, everyone, if you don't know. Lindsay signed so many petitions. Nova. Joke? I don't get it.
Nova is like leaving us. Hey, Trish.
Trish?
Christina. Nova keeps lagging on us, guys. Apologies. But we're reading comments right now. She should be back in just a minute. So we went through the Constitution. We've broken down everything.
Is that better? Am I lagging?
It's you're still like, now you're just smiling. Okay, yeah, now. Okay, now it might be working.
Am I lagging?
You're drinking wine right now?
I'm drinking wine right now.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Real-time wine.
Your mouth is just a little far behind, but it's okay.
That's okay. That's how it normally is. My mouth is normally a few steps behind. Let's be real. And then sometimes it's a few steps ahead of what I should be saying.
Just depending on what's going on. So do we have any other questions? Let's see. No Teddy Wi-Fi. Oh my God.
What is Teddy Riley Wi-Fi?
Oh my God, Teddy, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Teddy? It was these verses that were coming on during quarantine with like Swiss Beats put this thing on. It was really funny. Let's see. Requires 2 to 3 majority vote. Wait, we missed something.
I don't even see that. I'm for sure lagging.
Toward the end. Okay, so do you or can you look up the process of changing the amendments? Okay. And Enopac says it requires a 2 to 3 majority vote by the House and the Senate. And do you know where you can find all of that information on how to change the laws? Whoop, whoop, right here in the Constitution. Whoa, where it'll tell you how to change the laws, who needs to be involved to change the laws, and all of those good things. It starts right here under Article 1.
Where do you get a copy like that? A little pocket copy?
Yeah, just literally look up a pocket constitution. Yep. Right. And it probably is like goes right to the freaking Federal Reserve.
Let's try not to buy it from Amazon, and then maybe we're doing like a little bit of a good job.
We're doing our part. Buy it from your local bookstore.
Well, let's make copies.
Better yet, go to Blackstone bookstore and get it from there.
Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully they have some there. Because we need to play.
Since my Wi-Fi problem, just so everyone's aware, my only job was to follow and understand what Khaliah was saying and to handle the comments. And now since I like changed my Wi-Fi so that you guys could see me, I now cannot see any of the comments.
And that's what it was.
So like my one job I can't do.
Okay, so let's see.
I don't know.
Let me go through these. Let's see. But who needs to purpose the bills to change? I'll explain later. Okay. We the people. Oh, yay. Paya Essential said that she got her pocket constitution 2 days ago. Yes, that's right. Someone in the House or Senate needs to bring it forward. Okay, so we would have to look. We're going to have to get into the pocket of somebody on the House or the Senate so that they can bring it forward so we can get the change moving. Oh, thank you for saying we're doing great. I really appreciate it.
We're trying our best.
Oh, yay. Thank you, Lindsay. Yes, and thank you, Troy. Hey, Amber. Thanks, Jamie.
I mean, if we have more questions.
Are there any more questions, guys? We're going to work on Nova's Wi-Fi for the next episode. So
we're going to work on my Wi-Fi. I feel like this was the first one for the First Amendment. So the Second Amendment, I feel like it'll go a little smoother. We appreciate everyone for listening to us.
Yes. And I'm going to save this. Like I said, this is going to be available as a series for everyone. And next up will be the Second Amendment. So if you guys do have any questions, just keep sending them in. I'll save the video. Anything that's not addressed here, we'll address in our stories. And we will tag you in it as well.
Do a questions bubble for the Second Amendment. So we'll get that up. If you have questions about the Second Amendment, we'll have them prepared with answers for you.
Oh my God, I think that question is really good. And I need to
What's the question?
Take a moment for that to get some answers together. So it says, hi, Troy's son. So this is my cousin. How do you think capitalism affects free speech? So I really definitely want to answer that. So I will be getting back to you. And Khaliah Essentials also says Congress shall make no laws, etc., but the state and local government restrict any of these freedoms. Okay, yep, and that has to do with the 10th Amendment for states' rights.
I talk a little bit about how capitalism affects.
Yeah, please go into
freedom of speech. So, I mean, just here in LA, I've talked to you about how wild the police commissioner meetings are. And basically what we've witnessed is, I just want to say this correctly. So the people in positions of power on, like, for example, Police Chief Moore has taken money from the government, like paid leaves and like all sorts of crazy things. So he's making like coin, right? Mm-hmm. And then there is a commissioner meeting, a Zoom meeting where the public can comment and express their they can redress of grievances. Wait, no,
Yes,
not
yes.
redress, it's remedy. But they can talk about so that's fine or whatever. And then all these people want to talk, and yeah, and instead of like staying late, they start limiting the time, limiting the time, limiting the time. Or instead of saying, you know what, we realize you have a lot to say, we're going to accept comment via email or via like however, or like we can some alternative. We're going to extend this till tomorrow. But instead of doing that, they're like, okay, now you have 30 seconds. So if you weren't one of the first people to get in, you weren't able, like you basically got 30 seconds and you waited from 9 a.m. Some people waited until like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. to have 30 seconds to express their time or to express how they felt, their freedom of speech.
Right. Right.
Is that an example?
I mean, yeah, in a way it definitely is, because I mean he's getting paid, and if it was more, if it like meant something for more for him, he would have stayed.
More for
you know
more.
what I mean?
We need more from more.
Right.
Actually, we need less from him. Let's be real. I'm so sorry I can't read the comments.
Okay, wait, let me see. So when you were speaking, Jamie said they're wild. And then Good Vibes put up a link for us to go to.
Love that.
And Jamie said, isn't it funny how everyone's Wi-Fi keeps going out because we keep saying government and constitution and rights? What? Y'all know how they do.
I just want to say something
watching.
while I'm not lagging. When I do my Instagram lives with Benton, where we do makeup and talk trash and talk about like Gossip Girl and shit, I have never lagged. Okay? Not once. I don't know why I'm lagging.
And you're in your same room?
Yeah, I mean, in my house, like I'll either do it like in the bedroom or like I would be right here. So, I mean, I'm 2 feet away from where.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it shouldn't make a difference.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, I think that this has been a really good introductory show. I'm really excited. I'm so thankful for everyone that was able to join us. I'm thankful for all of our allies. You know, it's going to take a lot in this movement to make this change, but I'm excited for it. Stay open, stay ready, people. Truth is available to all who seek it. Okay?
Yes.
It's always there for you. You just have to look for it. So.
I was going to say something nice, but like, I just want to end with that. Bye.
Bye, guys. We'll do this soon. Okay, so.
You can do it.
I know. I'm like, wait.
You got this.